I'm putting my energy into the deck. Hi, it's Gwen from Hummingbird Tarot, and today I'm doing a video response to Anthony's 31 Days of Tarot. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So today is day 28, and the question is, how do you feel about deck mods? And I have modified a lot of my decks, so I am totally okay with it. And part of what I feel that I do when I modify a deck is that I'm putting my energy into the deck. And then there's some decks that I just absolutely love, but I feel like they're not quite appropriate as they are for the audience that I'm going to be using a deck for. So I may alter them to fit that. And then there may just be some other random reason why I decide to modify a deck. So I'm going to take you through some of the decks that I've modified and why I did those modifications. And I'm going to talk about the first modification that I did. The Radiant Rider-Waite deck, the first version that I bought of this. And I bought this deck on purpose because I wanted to study the traditional meanings of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot cards. And I considered making flashcards for myself. And then I thought it would be easier to just buy a deck of tarot cards to use as flashcards and write on the cards themselves. And so that's what I did. When I first started reading, I read intuitively only, and then I started working on slowly learning the meanings, and then I just wanted to kick that up a notch and see how close my intuition was to what the traditional meanings were, and I wanted to really get a solid foundation of that information. So this is what I did, and I just wrote right on the tarot card itself. You can see I've got writing all over the place, and I did this for the whole deck. I just wrote keywords and I wrote phrases and things that came to mind for me, and it felt, part of it was a ritual and attaching the energy of what I believed these cards to be, and then also the energy of what the traditional meanings were, and the act of doing that helped me remember them. And then I just used these as flashcards and would just shuffle and pull random cards. And now if I fan these out, you can see I've got writing on all of them. So that's one way that I've altered the decks or modified. Another thing that I might do, and this one is the Universal Weight, the Pocket Edition. And I use this one for readings for other people. And I put clothes on all of the naked people in this deck. And I have a pretty broad audience that watches my channel, and some of them are younger, and I don't want to have to worry about nudity on my channel, so that's why I've done that. I don't have anything personally against nudity in tarot decks. However, when you have a pretty broad audience, you have to consider that when you're working and when you're sharing the information. If I was really young, I was a teenager when I first started doing tarot readings, and there may be people that are younger than that want this information available, so let's create a safe space for them to be able to do that. The typical Rider-Waite-Smith deck does have nudity in it, and that's the most widely used version of tarot. And if you're going to have any type of an intelligent conversation with anyone about tarot or discuss this with tarot beginners, you have to use that deck. So where's the middle ground there? So that's why I do that. Another thing that I do is that if the edges are not colored, and the version I had of the Light Seer's tarot just had plain edges, and so what I did was I colored each of the edges of the deck. This is only about half the deck here, and I colored the edges to match whatever color was on the deck itself. So I might have used like a pinkish red there, an orange color there, yellow maybe, or green. you know, and it just added another layer. It felt kind of plain on the edges, and I wanted that color there. Another deck that I've colored is the Sacred Traveler Oracle. And here's what the back of this looked like. Here's the cards here. And I wanted the edges to match, and I was able to find a pen that matched that exactly. But it really pulls the deck together, and I love the vibe that comes off of it, and having it all be the same color, it just looks really pretty. And then the last deck modification I want to show you that I've also done is the Druidcraft. So the Druidcraft deck is one of my favorite tarot decks. Let me just find the box. Here we go. And this is the deck and book set. I actually have two versions of this deck. I have the one that I left in the original, and it is huge. It's hard to shuffle, and it's a tarot deck. So you've got 78 cards that are this big. And I trimmed it down. I trimmed off all of the border here. Whoops, just dropped the card. So you can see I trimmed it down quite a bit. If I put this on here, that's everything that I cut off. And now they're about the size of a traditional tarot deck. Much easier to handle. Also, the edges were white, and I colored them to match the back of the deck. And I do actually have a video on how to trim the edges on my channel. You can go ahead and look for that in my playlist. And then another reason for this deck, this is one of my favorite decks, and it has some hardcore nudity in it, male frontal nudity. That's hard to have on your channel front and center, and this way I can still use this deck on my channel and not have to worry about it being censored or offending anyone or any of that, and I still am able to present this beautiful deck that I absolutely love, and I can present it to a broader audience. And if there's someone who maybe wouldn't normally consider decks with nudity in them, this is an option for them to be able to use those decks and consider those decks that may be more limiting otherwise. But so these are some of the ways that I've altered. I put clothes. They were two naked people laying here. A naked woman. She was topless. A naked boy. Or it could be a girl too. Two naked people again. Male nudity again. And this was male frontal nudity. And so I altered this deck quite a bit. And those are some of the ways that I've altered these decks. Let me know how you feel about deck modifications and what types of modifications, if any, you've done to your decks. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next time around.